Here we are on the steps of Elbrook Asylum, just outside Brighton on the south coast. It's a grey day, there's a bit of rain, the wind's blowing in strong off the sea. And as the door slams shut and the sound of the latch sort of echoes loudly, you see our 3 investigators standing on the top of the steps. The carriage that they came in is still waiting in the gravel square in front of this large brick building that makes up Elbrook. As the doors shut, your cab driver gives you a little wave and goes, that was quick. All done here then?
For now. We might be back a couple of days later or something. But for now.
Well, if you want a good, smooth ride, just ask for Tony.
Well, I'll tell the cab.
Back to your hotel or the station? Where can I take you?
The hotel. I think we need to, grab the bags.
Right away. And he comes around, offers Maddie a hand up into the carriage.
Thank you.
Right, come on. And the carriage starts rolling away from the asylum. That's a sanatorium, as it would prefer to be known, not all the paperwork. But as the carriage rolls away through the gates, underneath there's a metal archway that still spells out Elbrook. There's a flash of lightning far off in the distance over the sea, followed by a low rumble of thunder. And you hear Tony's voice calling down from the cab. Looks like there's a storm blowing in. We were wise to leave when we did. I'll try and get you back to town before it gets us.
That would be appreciated.
Good timing.
Might need to stay one night longer. Don't want to risk anything happening between here and London.
I'm assuming this is quite early in the day because we went in the morning, didn't we?
Yes, yeah.
Well, I guess we'll be see once we're at the hotel. I do wanna see the body myself. I'm not sure whether leaving now was a wise idea in general, but I wasn't comfortable with that guard. The doctor himself seems fine, but
I think the guard had been told not to tell anyone about the other person's visit, the friend's visit, which is why he was so resistant, and very likely he was told by the doctor.
Keeper, remind me, the doctor was enthusiastic about seeing Miss Carter, wasn't he?
Yes.
Well, that's...
I'm not sure. The doctor seemed a little too excited to see me.
He was very excited to see you once he recognised you for some reason. I don't know why he was excited to see you, but he was very excited to see you.
I have some history with his patients.
I see. The same sort of history that we have?
A little more dangerous.
Great.
What do you know about the patients you mentioned? Was it Nathan Lake and Belfont person?
I personally don't know much about Nathan Lake, though I've had some associates who dealt with him. Mr. Belfont's family are well, they belonged to a cult that worshipped a deity of the sea, and the sister was known for putting seawater and creatures into the lungs of the people she wanted gone.
And that was not information that we felt necessary to help us. I mean, when he literally has eels and crabs or oysters or whatever in his lungs.
I did not know about that until just now.
Or you told us during the train ride. Well, no matter.
During the train ride, which was barely... How long ago?
That was this morning, so a few hours ago.
I think it was yesterday evening.
We stopped the night.
Yeah.
I thought you got the train in the morning. Maybe I
No, we got the train in the evening.
Ah, yes, sorry.
Late evening. It was like the
Yes.
last train.
Which is why we couldn't visit that evening.
That was why. I couldn't remember which way round it was. Yes, you got the train last evening, yes. Apologies.
Well, no matter. So what's happened with his family?
All but one of them died in a house fire. The last one is currently in Albrook.
And he stays there.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Lake was his doctor beforehand.
Which is the one that's assigned.
Yes.
I see.
I have a feeling either he is recruiting new members to their family cult, or he has decided to do something. Though I don't know how. He's in a... I don't know the details of it at this moment. It's been... Keeper, how long has it been since we dealt with the Belfonts? 6 years? 7 years?
Since you first sort of ran across them, that was back in... I think it wasn't back in 82 or 81, about 9 years ago. But,
9 years.
You last saw Charles, I think, during the one of the more recent cases, about probably more like 5 years ago, give or take.
It's been at least 5 years. Though his family's demise was more than that, closer to 10 years.
I see. How certain are you that the entire family has died? Did you see the bodies, or is it just like they didn't show up after?
I think there might have been a story in one of the papers about an gas explosion or something like that at a property.
Yes.
They were quite a well-known family, so...
We survived the last one as well.
But it
Doesn't necessarily say that everybody's dead, right?
I was there. I know that at least the major players have died.
It does seem rather strange why a diplomat, or diplomat's aide, I'm not entirely sure what your friend's profession was as such, but
he's a junior assistant.
Junior assistant. I'm not sure why he would choose to travel here to visit these particular people. And there's the matter of his lady friend.
He's not been married, and he said that she was his wife to the to the young lady in the house.
Perhaps that was to avoid further questioning.
Probably.
It's separate rooms, so who knows?
He's been involved, definitely, in something.
If we can find out his reason for visiting her, that might give us a larger or better insight on who killed him and what may have happened.
I mean, if we knew how he knew about you, Miss Carter, that would help. I don't think you've met him before.
Not that I'm aware of.
So there is a link in between the two of you somewhere. And there's not that many people that know about this.
No, not very many. We try to keep it quiet, as it could fully disrupt society on all levels if it's to be out in the open.
So what's the plan? Or is there one?
I'm not sure at this moment.
Well, I'd say looking at the body, making sure that we know that the embassy knows that he's not coming back. Public knowledge would be, fell in the river, drowned.
Well, Dr. Peterson can be quite discreet. He often does cases for the police. So we could probably rely on him to keep it quiet. It won't get into any papers or anything like that.
There's this officer that we had dealings with last time. Maybe we can have him take a look at the Albrook and the people that work there. But he doesn't seem to be in the know about stuff.
No, most of the officers, while they know uncanny things happen, they try to avoid it if possible, which is why the London Esoteric Society exists.
Well then.
Here we are. We're back at your hotel.
Oh, thank you. That time flew by quite quickly.
Thank you.
It's faster downhill.
Well, let's get inside before the storm hits.
Yeah.
Are we stopping here tonight, or... Well, today I should say, because it's still early in the day. Or travelling back today?
No, I'm not sure.
Let's see. Let's...
It's coming up to almost lunchtime now by the time you've come all the way up and down.
I would say let's wait after lunch, see how the storm is before we decide.
That's a good idea. We could grab something to eat somewhere and get our bags ready, and by the time we'd arrive back in London, we should be able to catch Dr. Peterson in his office.
That makes sense.
You can also sell a telegram through the hotel.
I think I'll inform the embassy once I've seen the body. I think that's probably better. For now, I'm not sure if we should leave the Albrook behind. Something rubs me the wrong way there.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem rather fishy.
Pun intended.
I actively glare at Thomas.
Well, that storm's coming from the sea. I mean, that's kind of normal, but might not be. Just looking out the window.
The clouds are rolling over now. This big black clouds.
Does it look like a
The
normal
wind
storm?
picks up.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing. Is it a normal storm?
Considering how the weather was,
Please roll me a meteorology check, or failing that, I think
Nature.
natural world.
Yeah.
What was the rolls?
Natural
You said-
world, unless you have meteorology or anything like that.
Ooh, that's actually a skill I have points in. What? No, not enough.
Nope.
I mean, it's August. It's a bit perhaps early in the day for a summer storm, but
They happen.
They happen. And yeah, you can hear the wind rattling at the windows and rain starting to lash down on the roof above. Of this thunderous drumming of water. And also the complaints of the other guests. Oh, they gotta come all the way down to Brighton to fresh air and weather. This is the third time this week it's rained.
Lovely British weather for you.
Exactly.
I guess that's bad luck. Well, at least the food's good.
Yes,
yeah.
let's grab lunch.
You're able to take lunch in one of the hotel's sort of dining rooms. But with quite more crowded than you probably usually would be at lunchtime, with other guests who've decided to stay in rather than venturing out into the storm. And by the time you finish lunch, the storm has somewhat abated. It's still quite grey out. The clouds have not yet fully cleared, but it's stopped raining and the wind has died down.
Well, seems fine so far.
So you are wanting to go back to London then?
I think so. If we're not finding anything, we can always come back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds a good idea.
So you plan to get a train back to London that same day?
Yes.
Yeah, you are able to do so. Now, it's not too far from your hotel over to the station, where you can see a station master sort of sweeping some water off the platform and mopping down the benches to try and get everything back into order as the train to London pulls into the station. And you're able once again to get a compartment of your own as the train trickles into life and steams away from Brighton, heading north back to the city.
I'll be looking out the window. Clouds. Staring into nothing.
Oh, I'll most definitely be staring into nothing. Just like zoning out, but I'm actually thinking deeply.
Yeah, the clouds are beginning to break up now, like bright bursts of sunlight coming down through as the summer sun struggles against the clouds. Yeah, it's going to take you, I think, a couple of hours to make your way back up to London. And if there's anything you want to do, discuss, or work out in that time, you may do so. If not, we'll move back onto the city.
I think Thomas is likely just going to doze on the return journey. It's only a short journey after all.
The Keeper,
Yes?
I cannot remember the name of the cousin to the Belfonts ages
Rosalind
ago.
Moore. Is that the cousin you mean? Cousin who's in
yeah.
Elbrook.
Franco's
No,
girlfriend.
not the one that was in Albrook.
Oh, Frankie.
The one that died, but Moore, I think, is the correct last name.
I want to say Quentin, but
Yes, because he was related to them, and it was a whole nother branch of the family. There it is.
Matthews, Quentin Matthews.
Matthews, there we go.
He was the one who was murdered in the pub in Wapping by the heart-snatching Harley Patton.
Yes. too many names to remember all of them. But that's actually what Maddie's been...
Yeah, that's why I wrote that bit down on it as a family tree, because even I can't remember all the Matthews.
No. But yes, Maddie's been racking her brain over trying to remember who was related to the Belfonts. Before all of this happens. And I think just before they arrive, she remembers.
Yeah. You've got plenty of time to think this over. So yeah, as they're starting to see the city appearing, like in the distance, Millie's sort of putting the pieces together in her mind.
So, it turns out there's a larger family to the Belfonts. We actually also had a recent case that one of their cousins was murdered. A Matthews family. The victim was Quentin, and honestly, I can't remember if it was the wife or the husband. It's probably the husband, William Belfont, who was a part of that cult, and not his wife's family. But I'm not sure. Keeper?
It was his wife's family so it was Ida was Ida Matthews.
Right. No, what I was saying is who started the Dagon cult. Because he was the apprentice.
He was Sir John's apprentice.
Yeah. And that's how he learned about Dagon. And I couldn't remember if he started up the Dagon portion cult in London or not.
I don't know if you know that.
No, I don't think I do. Yes. But I'll muse that aloud. I don't know who started that cult here in London, but it could have been his family or her family, or I just don't know.
Well, that's stuff that the police can easily do, right?
Unless they end up dead?
I mean, just looking up the names of the still living family members?
Of the still living family member. That's easy. We can do that. No, I mean finding out where the cult began, on if it was on Mrs. Belfont's family's side or her husband who started it. Because if it's one or the other, will tell us if the remaining practitioners of this cult is down to just Charles, who is currently in the sanitarium, or if it's a vast number of people we've not come across yet.
Well, considering that your doctor was very interested in you, right? The doctor there. He might just let them out on occasion, and then be safe back in the asylum and have never left, which would be a reason why they...
That's quite disturbing.
Wouldn't want that. Or, I don't know how that magic stuff works, so maybe it just takes time. They met. We know that they met. He might have done his spelling there, and he died somewhere else by the time his lungs filled with water or whatever.
Oh, that's possible.
I mean, I think I heard you say something about on-land drownings, so...
Yes.
Did those on-land drownings also have, like, marine life in their lungs?
Yes.
So maybe that's that. Maybe he was just found near a river or near a body of water. And
It's possible.
so people didn't think that he was drowned on land. Do we know where he was found?
Victor said he was dragged out of the river.
He was dragged out of the river.
Out of Thames.
Yes, he dragged out of the Thames. Which is why he thought it was an ordinary drowning at first, until he found his favourite fish. Yes. The train pulls into... I can't remember which is the southern station in London. So, one of the London stations. Maybe Charing Cross. Maybe not.
It's not like you lived there, right?
I never went south.
Well,
I went to Brighton once and it was rainy and a seagull tried to steal my chips.
how about we go meet your friend, Mr. Carter?
Yes, at the University College Hospital. We could always go a separate way, sort out our luggage, and then meet up there.
That should be fine.
Unless we want to meet up somewhere beforehand, then go as a group.
You are welcome at the estate on Grosvenor Square.
I do not mind either way.
Okay, so are we meeting up at the hospital or at the society? And is there anything anyone would like to do beforehand?
I think Thomas would just go to drop off his luggage and then very likely just head to the University College Hospital.
Okay.
Sounds reasonable.
Do either Johann or Maddie have anything they want to attend to in the intervening time? Anywhere they want to go?
I think I'll walk past my home. I mean, I'll have to drive past my home, considering that the University College Hospital is way more north than where I live. It's probably the shortest way. Just drop my bags off. And I might make a quick stint in the German embassy just to give a verbal report on what I know by now.
As you arrive home, I'm assuming you have, well, you definitely have staff on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've given your butler, sort of footman, a name yet, but he gives an odd, takes your bags in, and goes, sir, a letter came for you.
Oh.
A note. Well, more to say that a woman left a note for you.
Do you know who it was?
No, young German woman. At least I think she was German.
Sure, I'll take a look.
And he hands over the note. It says, "Please meet me tonight at the Rose and Crown. M."
Well, that's gonna be interesting. And I'll just put that in my side pocket. Put my stuff away. Move to the German embassy.
Okay.
And yeah.
So
Tell my boss basically that I think that somebody's found a drowned body that fits the description, and that I'm gonna go to confirm.
Oh. You think he might be dead?
Potentially. He's been dragged out of the river, so...
Poor soul. I was rather hoping we might find him,
in-
drunk in a tavern, or he'd got on the wrong train and ended up in Dover. But this is most unfortunate. Well,
No.
you have a photograph. You've photographed
Yeah.
of him. You.
Yeah, I have a photograph. I took it from the personal files.
Would you mind taking a trip over and identifying the body? If it is him, then we will handle it, or we will arrange for his remains to be returned to his family if possible, and if not, arrange a suitable burial here.
I thought so.
If it's not him, then we will continue the hunt. Thank you for your very swift work in finding him. Just unfortunate that he was not still alive. But you can hardly be held to blame for that.
It might still be somebody else just looking alike. There's a lot of people around.
There are, yes.
Well, we will see. I'll make my way up to the university hospital. Just thought I'd tell you beforehand.
So, Maddie, were you also planning on meeting them there? Yeah, given that Maddie...
Yes, I'll meet them there.
And Thomas took sort of less detours. They're probably already there and waiting by the time that Johann arrives at the hospital.
Well then, I'm sorry, it took a while longer. I had a couple of bugs in the embassy. Well then.
Shall we go in?
Yeah.
Then I'll lead the way because I actually know the route quite well.
Yes. So I think Maddie's been down here before, but I think it might be Johann's first trip down into the bowels of the hospital.
Yeah.
And as you
follow your nose.
head down, the smell of death and formaldehyde reaches up to you, going stronger as you get deeper, as you make your way down into these tiled halls. You've got the classic sort of green and halfway up green tiles on the walls.
And Maddie's got a perfumed handkerchief covering her nose.
Yes.
You know what? Johann has one too.
And as you make your way down, your steps echoing in this quiet down here, you can hear someone humming to themselves. Yeah. From a room nearby.
Dropping the gun.
Just knock on the door when we get there.
Hello? Who's there?
Just myself.
Oh, 1 minute. Let me just close this one up. Are we out in 1 sec?
You have a couple of visitors here as well.
Oh, hang on. I'll just... There's a few moments you hear the sound of a drawer shutting from things being moved around. Clattering of keys, and then the door opens to reveal this slightly scruffy looking doctor who's currently in the process of wiping his hands on his apron. He holds out his hands to shake. Pardon?
Is it always?
Oh, you know how it is, fairly busy. That one just came in from upstairs. Surgery gone wrong.
Oh.
They wanted me to determine what happened, and I would think that the surgeon managing to stick his knife into an artery is what happened.
Yeah, that would do it.
That.
I'll not be shooting
let's not go in there. There's still quite a lot of blood. Still. Well, this way. Oh, Miss Carter! Delightful to see you down here again.
Hello. I've heard you've got something that brought us into acquaintance from the very get-go?
Yes. You remember that with Lady Irene and Mr.
Shaw.
Shaw, Miss Shaw, yes. Yes, but the little crabs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, come see. And good to meet you, sir. I'm Dr. Peterson.
I'm sorry, I still need the hand right now. But yeah. Nice to meet you.
Come on through.
And I'll just pull the picture out. It wouldn't be this person per se, would it?
Oh. And you see him try and put on sort of the most professional looking face. Like he stops himself from smiling briefly. Because he's Not a friend of yours, is he?
Let's say subordinate.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm pretty certain that's that guy. That is our unfortunate soul on the slab.
Well then, let's go and do the paperwork then.
You don't want to see?
Oh yeah, I do. For like a moment, if necessary. But yeah.
Come on. So, as I told Mr. Carter, I thought he was just an ordinary drowning victim at first. Pulled out the Thames, drowned, open and shut. But I've always had a particular interest in drowning victims after that first oddity. So I decided to take a better look, and here, see, it's less striking now I've taken the eel out of the lung, because it could just be any old eel. You'll have to trust me in that this rather large river eel came out of his left lung. Now, I think you'll see that inhaling an eel is quite a challenge. And eels don't tend to burrow into the lung. That's not really their natural habitat. But it's the other lung that's exciting. You see here, that's a little string of muscles that have started to grow inside the bronchi there. And I'm going to ask for a constitution roll definitely from Johann, and I think from Maddie as well. But Maddie, you can have a bonus die on this because you have seen this
should
before,
I
and it's
just re-roll it?
Yeah, just re-roll it.
There you go.
It
was a fail, but now it's a hard success.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you've seen worse things, and you've seen things like this before.
Mm-hmm.
And Johann, you're holding yourself together pretty well, considering this is pretty revolting. And as he points to the... Actually, Johann, I'm also going to ask for a sanity roll from, because he has not yet been too exposed to the wonders of lungfish.
Crazy.
There's weirder shit out there.
It's not like what was on the train.
True. This is not normal.
What was on the train? The journey seemed fine to me.
Oh, we met on the Orient Express.
That's quite a nice train, from what I've heard.
Mm-hmm. It's nice.
So it wasn't
The return trip was better.
That definitely. Return trip, no weird oddities whatsoever. And a pretty successful voyage in general. But yeah.
At least now we have a name for this gentleman. Are you certain this was the junior from your office?
Yep. His name was
Otto, I think you mentioned.
Otto, I think, yeah.
Hoffman. Mr. Hoffman.
There's by now so many stuff flying around here. It's really hard to find shit.
Otto Hoffman.
Otto Hoffman. And if it wasn't, it is now. Yeah, I'll confirm the identity. I'll start doing the paperwork. The body is probably going to be relocated to Germany. The embassy will take care of the financials and logistics of the whole thing. So if you would be so kind as to take contact with the embassy to hash out the details.
Yes. I don't tend to handle the people side of things, but I'll pass some words upstairs to be on the lookout for German embassy. Did you say?
Yeah, exactly.
Huh. Yeah, I was on the right track with the shoes.
With the shoes?
Didn't think they were British made. Wasn't sure where they were, but the stitching looked wrong. You get to recognise a few things, if you spend enough time there.
I'd imagine so. I wasn't aware that shoemakers did stuff differently. But then again, I only just had them make my shoes.
You see...
Never gotten any different engagement with it.
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty of things we don't know about how trades and... If you could just, compile all this information, you could tell from someone just from looking at a dead person, who they were, where they'd come from.
Well, the archaeologists certainly would love that.
Yeah, I think when people are just bones and bones, there's only so much a bone can tell you. But flesh is less good at keeping secrets.
That's very true.
Well, it doesn't keep the secrets very long, though.
True. Very true.
No more strange bodies, other than this one?
No, nothing else. I would, You think I wouldn't have told you already if I'd got some of the other good ones in?
Oh, I know you well.
But no, nothing much. I've been trying to keep a good look down at the waterfront.
Well, and to contact me when strange things come up.
Oh yeah, I was actually going to get in touch with you. I just really wanted to show Thomas this one first because I don't think he believed me when I told him the first time about the fish lung thing. And...
No, I didn't believe you. Not completely.
Yes.
It's a hard thing to believe if you haven't seen it.
Yes.
But now you have a camera down here as well.
Oh yes, I've been taking pictures.
Would you mind letting me have a look at those?
Yes. Right. Here's the photograph of the eel in situ, and here is.
I'll look through all of that.
Not those. Those ones are just a collection of lung photographs.
Do you know who found the body or whereabout on the Thames it was recovered from?
One of the bargemen dredged it out down. Where was it again? They drift about a bit. I think it was down somewhere just past the Tower of London where they found it, down towards London Docks. I suspect that's not where he went into the water. Sometimes I think we should just get big body catching nets across the Thames, and I realise all the other things that they'd catch and they don't seem quite so appealing.
Somehow think it would fill up.
It might make the Thames a little bit cleaner.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's much to be done to the Thames to make that one cleaner.
It's better than it used to be.
It used to be worse?
Oh, definitely.
My goodness.
Yeah. My father tells me about back in the the 50s, just how awful it used to be back then. Before they built quite so many sewers.
Yes, that was where most refuse was stored.
But yeah, now we've modernised and tidied up, and the city's much cleaner.
Well, we have identified the gentleman, and I think there's not much else we can find out from this. Really, I was hoping we'd have an idea whereabouts he went into the water, but it could have been any point really and just swept out towards the docks. Unfortunately.
How long do you think he was in the Thames? Not considering what was in his lungs, but on his skin.
Oh, not long at all. Like, I think he'd fallen in, drifted down, and been pulled out that same night. Apart from the thing inside his lungs, nothing had taken a nibble at him. Not rotted, not decayed. I don't think he'd been in there long at all. Really
So,
quite fresh.
so barely long enough to drown.
I mean, you can drown quite quickly.
Bad.
You just have to hold someone down for a short while and they'll drown.
Assuming that's how he drowned. Considering the peculiarity of what was inside of his lungs.
Maybe he drowned out of the water and then fell in the water. Or someone drowned him and then pushed him in the water to try and obscure the clues.
Which is what happened last time.
Indeed. It's like one of those stories in the Strand.
One of those whodunit mysteries.
Yeah.
I like them in the novels. It's usually very obvious who done it.
Oh,
So people read it can feel smart about their wits.
Oh no, the good ones, it's never obvious until the end. When you put the pieces when the detective puts the pieces together and you're like, oh, that's...
And then you afterwards see where the little hints were. Yeah, but look, the most of it is like it's not the best that you find around, right? Most of the time.
Well.
But yeah, thank you for the...
Yes, we probably need to leave now and let you get back to...
oh, yes, I've got... he's piling up all over the place.
Delightful.
Well, take care of yourself. I'm sure we'll chat again soon.
Hope to see you down here soon. Still on your own two legs, I hope, too.
I hope so too, as well.
But, right.
I hope there's no reason to meet you down here. I'd prefer a restaurant or something.
I see. So yes, he returns to his work and you head out into the fresh air and light once more. And, oh God, even the slightly smoky, filthy air of London seems pleasant compared to the mortuary down below.
Well then.
You'll probably need to report the findings and confirm that it is, in fact, who you were looking for.
Yes, I think we should probably keep finding out what happened. But I'll close the book in the embassy because they don't need to be involved deeper. We'll just tell them he's been drunk, fell off the bridge, drowned. Probably the easier way. And I'll bid you to farewell and go to the German embassy.
Okay.
Take care of yourself.
I will.
So Johann heads back to the German embassy. Where are the rest of you headed?
I will return home. Maybe read the books that I purchased for our trip and take a nap.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I think Thomas will return home to unpack and I'm not sure what time of day. It's probably mid-afternoon, something like that.
Getting on for late afternoon now, to be honest. By the time you have taken a train back to London.
Yeah, a couple of
Actually,
hours.
late afternoon coming on for evening. Cause everything takes a little longer to get everywhere.
So he'll unpack and just settle in for the evening, really. Oh, what day of the week is it, by the way?
Thursday.
Thursday.
So, Johann, you head on back to the embassy. Are you seeking out your boss, the ambassador, once more? Or
I'll just write a report. I told them that the guy's dead, probably. I'll write the report. State that he was drunk, that he fell off the I'll choose a bridge. Fitting for the time that he was in, and where we know where he was dragged out. We know how long he was in. I'll choose a fitting bridge. Until he's fallen off that bridge and drowned and was dragged out that place of the river. And that he's been that I identified him, and that the mortuary will be getting into contact with the embassy over his body. And then I'll give that to the secretary, then go into the boss and repeat what I just wrote.
terrible shame, terrible shame.
Well,
I will write a letter to his relatives, informing them of the sad business.
well, at least he didn't have a wife or anything that was relying on his income.
No. And at least he didn't actually have any important function here at the embassy. We can, I think, manage quite well in his absence.
Considering that it took until Wednesday to actually look for him.
Well, if we looked for everyone the first day they didn't turn up at work, we spent half our time hunting down hungover embassy staff.
Well,
I myself have occasionally missed a day at work, and if I had someone kicking down my door every time I decided to have a late morning,
well,
then
fair.
my wife would be very annoyed at the number of doors we'd got through.
I mean, as far as I know your wife, she's probably gonna be annoyed with your sleeping in anyway, so...
Perhaps.
Well, send her nice greetings, and...
Yes, I'll send your love to Nelly.
I guess I'll take another look in the things he was doing a bit. Just in case there is some
just in case
repercussion.
there's anything untoward tangled up with it.
I don't think so either. But, better safe than sorry.
Yes, I wouldn't... If someone is pushing out embassy stuff off bridges, then I would quite like to know about that.
Indeed.
Well,
That would
take
be
care.
a big problem. I will. I'm quite the sturdy person. There's not a lot that can harm me off, except for like guns and stuff. I've been dueling a bit in my time.
Yes, indeed. Well, as I said, take care, and let me know if you find anything of interest, and I will remember you next time when we need anything swiftly resolved. I'm very impressed by how quickly you put the pieces together on this. Very good work.
Thank you a lot. Most of that was probably luck. But
it's a top tip. You want to succeed in life? Don't subscribe. What's the word? Don't blame luck for things that you can pass off as good thinking.
true. Well, I'll leave you to your work.
Yes, plenty of letters. There's all the fallout from the Zanzibar thing, and the Kaiser has got into his head to meet the Tsar, which is
Nice little cousin meetup.
thankfully out of my hands, but does mean that half the resources of all the other embassies have been rerouted to dealing with that. But
Well, before something problematic happens, it's probably better that way.
well, that's it. Good luck.
Thanks. And I'll leave. And make myself presentable for the meeting that evening.
Where are you planning to go to meet this evening?
I have like a note from somebody that I think I know who would sign like that.
Okay, so you are planning to go to the Rose and Crown this evening.
Exactly.
Okay. Does anyone else have any plans for this evening?
I'm not sure whether Thomas is likely to go to a local bar for a drink or instead practice his new hobby that he's taken up, taxidermy.
Up to you. Taxidermy or pub?
Yes, pub or taxidermy? Important question. Or taxidermy, then pub.
Just have like
Flip a coin. Roll a d2.
Just have like your stuff, like these people that do like their work in like a cafe. Just have like the taxidermy stuff in like a restaurant and start doing
On the tables, yes.
on the table. Perfect.
No, I think early on, because it's early in the evening, Thomas will probably grab something to eat. And as long as nothing unusual happens, he's very likely just to get things set up taxidermy-wise, practice a bit, and later on in the evening perhaps go for a drink somewhere. But we'll see what happens beforehand.
Okay, could you give me a look roll, please?
Me?
Yes, please. You.
Oh. That's a fail.
Okay. So, Maddie, did you have any plans for this evening?
No, maybe just have dinner, sit quietly, knit a little, read some, retire early for the evening unless anything happens that she is called upon.
Okay.
Nothing planned.
So, Thomas, you set about doing some light taxidermy. You hear a heartfelt sigh from your sister, Alice. Let's take up a hobby. I thought you might, cricket, football, something that gets you outdoors. So, bicycling.
I can't be doing that this time of night or evening. I'll find something else, maybe.
Fencing. Play an instrument.
Fencing, now that is... That's rather
I said
popular.
dancing, but fencing would work as well. Just
Fencing's rather popular.
something that involves no dead things.
Hopefully, yeah. Okay.
Because as it is...
I may take up another hobby.
Good. Because you can't work in an undertaker's, hang out with Victor every other evening, and also do taxidermy. That's too much death.
As you say, I may take up another hobby.
As long as it's not, I don't know, bone collecting, murder, or like gravestone examination.
Now, bone
Then I'm happy with it.
That is interesting. Is it whole Egyptology as well with mummies? That sort of thing is exciting.
Carry on stuffing squirrels or whatever you're doing.
Okay.
And she shuts the door and leaves you to it.
I'll carry on. Arranging taxidermied squirrels or rats in humorous poses in little human outfits.
Oh.
Working on like rats playing poker sort of situation, or
Exactly that sort of thing, or reading a newspaper sitting in a rocking chair.
I feel I need a sanity roll. So as Thomas does obscene things to rats, and Maddie does knitting and gets an early night, Johann, you head over to the Rose and Crown. Not too far away from where your house is, but a little bit more down market, back down towards Brompton. And as you step in, there's the evening crowd of its well, in the bar it's all sort of groups of men, sort of standing around, drinking, talking, smoking. In sort of the snug, the cozy off to one side, you see there is a young woman sat reading a book. She's wearing a very modest grey dress, and she is familiar to you. You recognize Miss Marlena Kirsch, who you previously met on the Orient Express.
I'll be making my way to the bar, get 2 drinks for the 2 of us, and bring one over, and take a seat. Hello, Frau Kirsch.
Good night.
Thanks for the note. Appreciate to see you again.
I'm sorry I didn't reply sooner. I was never sure who might intercept my mail.
Oh, all the time.
But I have been receiving your letters by
A mutual friend.
Yes. And now circumstances have brought me to London. And, well, where to begin? I must apologize for not reaching out to you in the first instant. Things might have been simpler if I had done so. However, I was a little worried about some of the company
keeping. Well, if I can take away some of those worries, as far as I'm aware, they do genuinely try to rein in the odd things around. They've been helping me trying to find a murderer that used these oddities to kill one of the staff at the embassy. There's been...
Otto.
Exactly. You know about it?
Yes. Otto is my second cousin on my mother's side.
Oh. Well, my condolences then.
Yes, I reached out to him, and when I arrived in London, you see, my English is not very good, and I thought he might stand a better chance at looking into matters than I would. And he had connections and money. Well, perhaps not quite so many connections and money as he made out when he wrote to us, but I suppose I should have expected that for Otto. I'm telling this all out of order.
Well, then start at the beginning.
Yes. To begin with, we received some information that something bad was due to happen. That there was someone was trying to summon something, perform some kind of rite, something dangerous, somewhere near London or in London. The information we received was vague, very unhelpful, but it suggested that there was a powerful sorcerer or sorceress involved, someone with skill in summoning and connections to dark powers. And I must admit that my mind immediately sprang to Fraulein Carter. You see, when we last met, she was in the service of a dark power. I don't know that she still is or not, but I thought that perhaps she was involved. So when I came to London, I sent Otto to find out what he could, to dig into what she had been doing recently, and to past connections. I tried to tell him to be careful, but Otto got a little carried away. He washed the house for a while, and he said he was going down to a place in Brighton.
Albrook.
To follow up some old connections of Miss Carter. We were supposed to meet after he had returned. However, he did not come back. I've not heard from him since. I went back to his house this morning, which Oh, I don't even get to Otto's strange ruse of deciding that he wanted me to be his wife rather than his cousin, which needlessly overcomplicated everything. Why not just say I was his cousin? Not... Anyway. She said that that you had been looking for him, and... Anyway, the long and short of it, it doesn't seem that there's any evidence that, I don't know if Miss Carter is involved in this or not, but, things got all very confused. Otto seemed to think that I wanted Miss Carter dead, and then I took a lot of persuading to persuade him that I didn't actually want her dead, I just wanted to know that she wasn't trying to summon something terrible.
I see. That explains the warning he wrote, which made me get into contact with her again. So
I think if I could do one thing, if we go back in time and not involve Otto in this at all.
Well, I would say time travel is impossible, but then again, the fuck do I know?
Anyway, which brings us to the current point. Is something bad potentially happening? Otto is missing?
Otto is dead.
Otto is dead? That's going to be hard to tell the rest of the family.
Well,
Yeah, something bad is happening, Otto is dead, and I think, loath as I am to admit it, I think I need to ask for the help of the London Esoteric Society in this matter. But if they're not behind what's summoning, they must be able to help this, whatever this is. Would you be able to arrange a meeting or an introduction?
Well, certainly. That shouldn't be a problem. Otto was found floating in the Thames with an eel and mussels stuck in his lungs.
What?
Exactly.
In his lungs?
Exactly. The mortician made a picture of the opened lungs with the eel and the mussels stuck inside.
It's disgusting. And impossible.
Exactly. Miss Carter told me that they had a cult of, I think it was Dagon followers in London, and that she'd burned down. No, that there's been a gas explosion. I was not told that she'd burned down it. There was a gas explosion and fire, where most of them died, and that the last living survivor is stuck in Albrook.
Albrook again.
And the Monsieur Belfond was met by Otto, and he left, according to the cab driver that took him away. But he must have reached London, but then...
Strange. I feel all our warning said was they saw London and dark water and a storm. And that I seem to think that someone was trying to do something. But information that reaches me has usually gone through 3 different people in 3 different languages. So
as usual,
it's things are lost in the translation. But if you would be able to persuade the Miss Carter, and if any of her, well, as far as I'm aware, Mr. Davenport is still causing trouble in Constantinople, last I heard.
I'm not sure. I have never met him again after the...
Probably does not move in the same circles that you do, but
True. He didn't seem too fine when I met him, so...
Here's the thing you'll understand. People who do the kind of things that I do, that you seem to have begun to do, it is very hard to keep your keep your mind your own for a long while. It takes a toll on you.
Well, then take care of you.
I try, but look, how long till a meeting could be arranged, do you think?
This evening, if necessary.
Tonight? You don't think it's too late?
Well, if you're saying it's important,
It is
it'll be
important. Yes.
And
Sorry. Sometimes manners
go.
get in the way of punctuality.
Indeed.
It's
I'll stand up and hold her the arm. And just grab a cab to Grosvenor Square.
Okay. So as you're heading over to Grosvenor Square, I think this is a good point today to take a 10-minute break. And I have made changes to the mid-roll this week, so if everything is broken, we'll find out. See you in 10 minutes' time. We are back. So, Maddie, you are awoken by a knock on your bedroom door. And the sound of Agnes, one of your maids, outside. Miss Carter?
Yes?
Oh, sorry to disturb you. There's a Mr. The German man downstairs. Wilhelm? Zutanen? He said a lot of names. And he's
Zutanen?
Yes. Yeah, he's downstairs.
He's from the German embassy. Just a moment. Let me
with a woman, and he said it was important, but I said you were in bed, but
that's fine. Let them into the parlor. Make some tea. I'll be down in a moment. And yeah. I find my dressing gown, my house coat.
Yeah. Agnes hurries back down to the library. If you, Miss Carter's just coming down. If you just take a seat here. Sorry, the fire's gone out for this evening. I'll get some candles lit. Sorry. James has gone to. Right. So, oh yes. Do you want anything to drink? There's drinks or tea.
Yeah, tea would be nice.
I'll go bring some up. You too, ma'am? And Marlena nods. She goes, I didn't understand exactly what that girl was saying.
About tea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
I should have probably translated, but I'm sorry.
Sorry, I can speak English, mostly, sometimes, but that girl's accent. Because, as I cannot depict, Agnes does have a very strong West Country accent, but I cannot do a strong West Country accent, other than singing Wurzel's songs. Then, as Agnes is fetching tea, Maddie.
My hair is in a braid hanging over my shoulder, and I'm in a warm dressing gown and slippers, as I was asleep before I came downstairs. Is everything all right? Do I need to get dressed for anything? How can I help?
Well, if you don't need to be dressed for a conversation, I think it'll be fine like that, but that depends on your level of modesty.
I am covered at the least.
I think that's enough for me.
How can I help?
I'll translate.
Yes. Thank you. Well, this is quite complicated to explain. Miss Carter, you might remember me. We met briefly on the train to Constantinople. My name is Marlena Kirsch. And
Miss Kirsch. I don't remember the name, but you...
I'm not sure we spoke.
I saw her briefly on the train, correct? In
Yes.
the dining car or something?
Mm-hmm.
How can I help you?
I have reason to believe that something bad is coming in the direction of London, and that someone is trying to perform some kind of dark rite or ritual to summon something powerful.
All right.
A contact of mine has seen visions of dark water rising, of a storm blowing in, and something rising from the waters. But I don't know if it is in London or near London, but something is happening, and I was trying to look into it with my second cousin Otto, who is an idiot, and now is dead. Does that cover everything, Johann, you think?
Do you think so?
Yes, I think that covers everything. Oh, and we would like your help now in trying to work out what this is and stopping it. And also, just to clarify, I'm not trying to kill you.
Thank you. I was concerned that the M was from someone else, trying to kill me.
Do a lot of people try and kill you?
Yes. Because I meddle.
I see.
Unfortunately. Yes, there was the Belfonts. There was a man eating plants. There was so many other things. Yes.
I understand. I too have meddled with things in the past.
Yes, all right. So it turns out Otto, Mr. Hoffman, was your cousin?
Second cousin.
Second cousin. And you told her about the visit to Albrook? Albrook, the sanitarium?
Brighton? Yes.
Yes. I have reason to believe that he may have, I don't know what they conversed about, but he might have irked somebody who was there, and they caused him to drown on land with sea life in his lungs.
Yes, Johann said. Eels in his lungs.
Yes. We were going to determine when to speak with them because, well, unfortunately, it seems like the doctors there were extremely excited to see me there, following up on something. So I am quite concerned for my safety as well as anybody accompanying me there. And then it came to me earlier today that I'm not entirely sure who started the cult here in London.
Yeah.
That the Belfonts were a part of. So that's something that needs to be researched.
Indeed. You think... think more answers are to be found in Elbrook, or should we search the city for whoever these Belfonts might be working with?
Yes, it's one of those two things that I can determine. Unless anybody has any other points of view. Unfortunately, most of the associates that I've worked with are not available at this time. I think I'm the only member available right now of the London Esoteric Society.
Do you have any trusted friends you could call on? Anyone? Any
Yeah, yes. There are, well, a Mr. Carter, no relation. He has recently had his mind opened a little to what's been beyond the norm.
Maybe we should call him
Mr.
Mr. Carter,
Sutanen.
no relation.
Yes.
Yes, Johann. I thought... to be fair, I thought Johann might have been more involved in your society here. But it seems he's not yet. Really? Inducted? No. Joined up?
Well,
Signed up?
No, not fully inducted.
Yes.
I met the two of you at the same time. So
I
there
don't
was
think
not
we
a lot to.
had much chance to talk on the train, but I am part of a loose network of individuals across Europe who keep an eye out for disturbances, strange events, and safeguard dangerous artifacts. I believe you met my friend Camille Blanchet in Paris.
I'm trying to remember that name. Keeper? Do I know the person? I don't think my character was a part of that.
She was a friend.
Need to
Maddie didn't meet
watch
her.
her letter.
Yeah. Or perhaps it was not you or one of your... she was a French lady with a lot of cats.
It might have been one of the associates that I was traveling with then. I wasn't in Paris the whole time they were. As I was doing other things before then.
I see. But, yes, we, act to keep dangerous artifacts out of dangerous hands.
That's understood.
We have, for a long while, not had many contacts or resources in London. Which is why I attempted to first use Otto to find information and am now reaching out to you. I trust you are more capable than Otto.
I would not know about Mr. Hoffman. I do know that we have managed to stave off several horrible things from happening here. Snake people?
I came across some of them in Iceland once. Most unpleasant.
Quite. We saved an artist from being hostage. In that case, paintings were... Anyway.
Yes, anyway.
We can definitely look into this. Perhaps we should call on Mr. Carter to join us.
Yeah, that's probably a wise idea.
I will call for someone if I have any gentlemen servants around. I know James
Agnes
isn't
gets
available.
back up with the tea. Anything else I can do for you?
Do we have anyone who's available to run over somewhere with a message.
I can take a note over.
Yes, and have Bo drive you.
I can get Bo to drive me, yeah.
I'm going to pen out a quick message to Thomas Carter stating, emergency meeting at London Esoteric Society. Please come to Grosvenor Square. Maddie.
So, Thomas, what have you been working on crafting this evening?
I believe his latest creation is, with taxidermy, is a rat in a humorous pose on a miniature rocking chair, reading a newspaper and smoking a pipe. That's his latest one.
So you're just putting the final touches to it when there's a knock on the door.
Strange. Well, he doesn't have servants or anything like that, so he'll just go and answer himself.
Mr. Carter?
Speaking.
Yeah,
I recognise you. I think I've seen you at,
Agnes, I work for Miss Carter.
Yes, how are you doing and what brings you here?
Letter from Miss Carter. The carriage is waiting outside.
I'll just open it, read it through, I think. Okay. I'll be one moment and I'll just grab my jacket and start switching everything off that I need to, turn the lights down and if you like, and I'll jump in the carriage over.
Bo gives you a nod as you climb in. And you go rattling over the few streets over to the Esoteric Society.
It's not that far either, so...
Yeah, not far at all. So not that much time has passed since Maddie sent out the call. And you see, sat there in the library, with the lights of a few candles, it's Maddie in a dressing gown, Johann, and a sort of stiff-backed young German woman in a grey dress, who Thomas has never met before.
Very true. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. So,
I was going to say, for the sake of brevity, is there anything you'd like to leave out, or always going to recount everything you just found out to Thomas? Maddie?
I will recount quickly. Abbreviate things as needed. Skip out unnecessary details. Yeah. Basically, we need to decide on either speaking with the people currently in Albrook, or determining who is the leader of the cult that was here previously. Maybe both.
so how?
There is danger on both ends.
Interesting thing about Albrook, it's on a cliff. There'll not be caves that go beneath it. And there was that strange storm that hit, and it had a few of them. We've had a few days of strange storms just turning up out of the blue. And you mentioned like a cult to do with an ocean deity or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, there's several different ocean deities. The cult that I dealt with recently is actually dealing with one of the smaller deities.
Does that mean we're dealing with the same cult? Or does it mean we might be dealing with a different one if there's multiple sea deities?
Well, it's possible that we're dealing with the same one, and it's possible that we're dealing with a different one.
Great.
Just a moment, and I will go up to my room, into my safe, to pull out Nameless Cults. And I'll bring it downstairs with me.
Okay. So, for a brief moment, the other three of you are left sat, possibly slightly awkwardly, in the library.
I'll ask Melina for a quick
Right.
summary of those sea deities that could possibly be behind all this.
Oh, I don't know that much about sea deities. Although Camille did say she had a run-in with some kind of fish monster dwelling in the Seine earlier this year.
Fish monster, what?
Half man, half fish, some attacking the citizens of Paris. I never did hear the end of that story, though. Possibly it's got eaten by the other horrible things that live underneath Paris.
Okay, there's horrible things beneath Paris. I mean, there's a big-ass catacomb, so who would have thought, right?
I would stay out of them if I were you. But yes, I don't know much about... I'm more of an inland cult sort of person.
Smart. You drown out on the sea.
Sea is a dangerous place. You know, they always say worse things happen at sea.
You know, the sayings that I've heard are really uncomfortable when you think about it, like, with the context. You think Brothers Grimm has bearing on reality?
I mean, some of the things in the stories are not so far from things that are real.
Great. I'm gonna sleep real soundly tonight. Why did I ask?
But I think, in reality, few of those stories have a happy ending.
I'm
And
assuming
there's fewer dogs with sat on treasure and more just dogs sat on pile of bones.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I'm assuming this all is in German as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So whilst this is going on, Thomas is just looking for, because we're in the library, for books on taxidermy, on the off chance there is some. Well, he can't be involved.
Give me a library use check as... Yeah. Malena second.
He's just being polite, just wandering around having a look. Extreme success. There you go.
You find a very detailed book on taxidermy methods. And you just start to flick through it as Maddie returns, as the same point that Marlena is going, there's a story about a water nixie in Grimm, isn't there? That, I think you have to throw a mirror at them. I don't know, it's a long time since I've read any of Grimm's stories. You know, there's one where a boy and a girl fall into a well, and then they get caught by... You don't know that one?
I think so.
Anyway, this conversation is still going on as... Yeah, Maddie returns with her own book.
Oh, you're back.
Yes. Do you read English? Wait. Keeper, I have the original copy of it as well, don't I?
Yes.
And it's in German?
Yes, it is.
I have this book, but I think you might appreciate the original. And I'm going to turn around, go up to my uncle's study, and go into that safe and pull out the original Nameless Cults.
Okay.
And I'll do it as quickly as possible.
Yeah. You return back with the German edition of Nameless Cults, which I can never pronounce the name of.
Namenlose Kulte?
I think it's more like unspeakable cults, literally, in the Germans.
Unaussprechliche Kulte.
Yes, that's it.
There you go.
All right. In the original German, I don't have any of the pages marked, but I do have the pages all marked with bookmarks or something of that nature for the various types of. Because I've studied this book so well, I will open the English version to any and all of the cults regarding the sea. Of the two biggest ones being Dagon and Cthulhu himself.
Yeah.
And then in that case, once I've opened them in the English, I'll look for them in the German and pass them over. This is the cult that we've dealt with before. And it'll be the Dagon cult. This is the one that would, in fact, the daughter of the Bellefonts would drown her victims, but they'd be standing there. They'd suddenly have water coming out of their mouth or nose, and they would drown. And when opened up, their lungs would have some sort of sea creature inside. Crabs.
Mussels.
Fish, mussels, barnacles. In Mr. Hoffman's case, eels, as well as water.
You still need the German version of the book.
I've got both of them open. So there's the English one and the German one open to the same pages.
This is quite a... I've heard of this book. I'd never seen a copy in the flesh.
I would be very careful reading it because it can cause one to lose one's mind.
Knowledge is worth the risk.
I'll start reading
Okay.
the German version.
Yeah, it's going to take a while. Depending on how long you're reading, it's going to take a while to reach full study. But as you begin to read, I mean, you realise that it goes far beyond sort of the hints that you've got from Maddie and Thomas and Marlena. Just like the very briefest overview. Like you're reading here. You see mentions of the cult of Dagon, of great Cthulhu with the green flame, the inner night, and the starry wisdom. So many things, so many names, so much out there. As you start to sort of read over. And this is the German version. Like Marlena sort of leaning over and reading along with you, like, yes, this matches. I'd say that they're not necessarily even separate. The cults may be separate, but it says here that the Dagon worships Cthulhu. And that one cult, that would make one cult essentially in service of the other. Johann, please roll me 2d8. As the night is wearing on.
7.
Please reduce your sanity by 7 points, and add 5 points to your Cthulhu mythos to make up for all of this reading. This is covering not just like this briefest reading, but sort of.
Yeah, I'll keep looking.
Okay. Thomas, what do you? So Marlena and Johann are looking at the original one. Thomas, you've got a lovely book on taxidermy, but
I'll be flicking through my taxidermy book that I found. Rather interesting.
safest and most normal book in the room.
Whilst he's going through this, he's thinking everyone else is going mad because
Well,
he's only got
speaking
an inkling of knowledge of mythos, so just sounds like
Johann, I
crazy.
do need you to make me an intelligence check, I believe, at this point. As you're browsing over, as sort of... Yeah, you really realise the full import of what you're reading here. You realise that, as sort of Marlena's there pointing out phrases, and like you see her eyes sort of wide, she seems to be sort of drinking in all this knowledge.
Learning together is just easier.
And I was like, I think here, from what I heard, perhaps what we have to fear is more the greater threat than the lesser threat of Dagon. But please roll me 1d10 here, Johann. Like, you sort of pause in your reading to realise not just the knowledge of this book, it's the fact that you know Maddie has more than one of these sort of things. How much is she hiding? How much does she know? How much is there out there that you just were completely unaware of? And this is just, I mean, it goes from terrifying to just, you find yourself just laughter bubbling up from within. This is ridiculous. This can't all be true. But it has to be true. It is true. You know it's true, but yet it doesn't make sense. And this hysteria bubbles up within you.
Oh, man. This is ridiculous.
Keeper, I have a question.
Yes.
Can I assume in the brief conversation that I've had with Miss Kirsch that she and I are on equal wavelengths mentally?
Give me a psychology roll, please.
That's a fail.
Hard to be sure. You definitely get the inkling that she knows stuff. She's aware of stuff. And there's a little sort of fraying around the edges there.
On that note, I will close the books and...
Hey!
I am going to gesture to Johann's insane laughter. I think it's best to put these away for a moment.
May I keep it for a short while?
It's fine. I'm doing all right.
Further study might be of import, and you do have an English edition yourself.
My great uncle did not want these out and about.
I'm not suggesting I put it in the local lending library. I simply mean to study it. Just a little bit more. There might be other knowledge that I can glean from it. Ways to dismiss anything they might call upon.
From my knowledge of the English version, do I understand that there are ways to dismiss anything that might be called upon inside this book?
Yes. So, the dismissal sort of incantations are sort of the flip side of the calling and summoning incantations, which you know this book holds several. It also holds sort of the counterpoint rituals, the dismissal of various powerful entities.
You may study this book here. Unfortunately, I can't let it leave this premises.
I see. In which case, seeing as it is late, might I be able to stay the night?
I'll call for Agnes. Agnes? I'm so sorry. Do we have a room ready for guests?
Oh, we've got plenty. I want us to. Unless
No,
you don't want it to be.
It's fine. Yes, Miss Kirsch, you are welcome to stay the night.
Thank you.
Mr. Zutanen, are you all right? Is he still laughing? Insanely.
At this point, it's died down a bit, but there's definitely like still looks a bit
Manic.
unhinged. I was gonna say, but yes, manic works as well. Like he's been pushed over a bit of an edge this evening in too much knowledge too fast, too many strange things he's been told.
I'm doing all right. There's just context that didn't make sense and does now a little more. You know about Wolfgang.
Yes, this is why I knew about and why I was a part of dealing with the thing on the train.
Yeah, that's the moment. Here, and I'll just go open it up again, show the side, point to the weird vampire spawn thing that killed my friend. This.
Which one did he point at?
The weird vampire monstrosity.
No, Keeper, which one is he pointing at? Which cult is he pointing at?
I don't think the vampire is actually mentioned in this
you're
book.
right.
It's
I think
not
that's
the other one.
I think that's
On the
monsters
wall,
and
yeah.
their kindy.
Okay.
Kind.
And I didn't pull that one out.
No,
Yeah,
that's
not
that
the
one's
one.
yeah, no. Monsters and their kind is like the bestiary one that is still safely locked away. This is the sort of mention of cults, but there's things in there enough to sort of ring a bell with stuff that's been mentioned so far. And perhaps it's one of the rituals that catches your eye and disturbs you. I mean, there's a ritual here to summon the sun and petitioned fiery chaos to consume the earth, which seems a lot.
Why would somebody write that down? I mean, seriously, why would somebody? You can do that once, and then... How did you even try that out? I mean, if somebody did, then the earth would have been consumed, so nobody tried. So how...
It's not always successful.
Do you mind if I borrow this book? And I show the taxidermy book to Miss Carter.
I will glance at it briefly and say, yes, just bring it back sometime.
Oh, definitely. It's really interesting. I'll just carry on flicking through it as I can.
All right, so, and I'm going to look at Marlena and Johann and glance at Thomas. He doesn't seem to be paying attention at all. So there seems to be. Well, we need to speak with the people in Albrook to find out what's going on, because it seems that is a place to start, but we need to precaution ourselves in the possibility of being attacked in the same sort of way Mr. Hoffman was.
How would we?
There are ways of fighting back.
There are.
I'd love to know one, because I don't really want to drown with a fish in my lungs.
It depends on your abilities. So, when we were first dealing with this cult, the only end to it that we could possibly make was to set them aflame. And
Gas
that is...
explosion.
Yes, the gas explosion happened. And unfortunately, there was a survivor. But before all of that happened, they had already coupled with one of the fish people. Coupled. And given birth. The child died in that explosion. It is quite possible that the fish people have come back. And that Belfont and possibly even Dr. Lake, Mr. Lake, he's there too, are a part of it now and have decided to spread this cult again through Albrook. I don't know what's going on with the doctor there. I have one thing that could keep me safe, but I am not very strong, and, well, I guess I should learn some more things, but I haven't gotten those books to learn them.
Nope.
And I just start going off, jabbering, muttering to myself. Distracted.
I'll just talk to myself a little, so reading those books can help you defend yourself.
There are rituals in them that can help. However, nothing is easy or free. And
Well, luckily I'm stubborn.
yes, but you have to be careful with this sort of thing. If you're not careful, things go wrong and you end up hurting people you didn't mean to hurt. You end up doing things that you regret.
Yes.
You can never undo.
Exactly. And very nearly end society itself.
Okay, I've never done that.
I was stopped. I was not in my right mind.
Can you flip out that weird statue?
What weird statue?
I thought you had some arm that was stolen on the train.
No, not that. I didn't know what I was doing, and I almost called down the sun. And I was stopped before the ceremony was completed. I almost destroyed the world.
The bit Thomas looks up from his book because he's just caught the end of that. It's like, so let me get this right. There's something strange, and they're trying to summon something.
Yes.
And we want to stop whatever they're doing from happening.
Yes.
Does it something... Well, they can't do this anyway. Would I need a special location for it?
It might make it easier.
So, you mentioned the Belfonts. Did they?
They lived on the river.
Did they?
Almost literally.
Special about their location that made it easier for them to do what they were doing.
Yes, they had a dock to the river in their back garden.
So if this is happening in London or to London, wouldn't that be a good place to look to see if they're planning to use the same location, unless it's somehow separate?
It could be either or.
Well,
If
what the-
it's If it is the Belfonts, if it is Charles Belfont doing it, he is at Albrook, which is above the ocean. And the ocean is connected to London through the Thames.
The building with the gas explosion that was at the River Thames, how far off along the river is that? I'm thinking, would somebody that got thrown into the river there get picked out roughly where Otto was picked out?
Maddie, you can point out the Belfont estate on a map. You can see it's several it's off this central map of London that we've got. It's further
Inland.
Yeah, further inland and upriver, sort of past a couple of major additional bends of the river. Because I think this map only takes us as far as Battersea. So yeah, there's a couple of other big bends of the river before you get to Richmond, where the Belfont estate is. So theoretically, they could have drifted around river that far. Depends on if it was high tide or low tide and how much water there was.
Maybe we should visit that building again. There might have something happened after a while. Is it being used again? Has it been rebuilt?
Would I have known, Keeper, if it had been rebuilt?
Is it the kind of thing Maddie would have kept tabs on and kept herself informed about?
Maybe in passing because of what happened there.
Yeah, you would know that the land still hasn't been built on, because technically the land still belongs to Charles Belfont.
No new buildings have been built there. It still belongs to Charles Belfont. He is the sole survivor of the family there. But his family was also into shipping.
So what's left there is basically cordoned off of the rest of society, in disrepair. So
and it's
basically
possible they've got people hiding there. Yes.
So maybe we should take a quick look at that estate. I mean, if that place is good and was already used for it, why not use it again for it? Especially if there's unlikely that somebody is gonna go and take a peek here.
Yes. We could look into it. We could also request that the police confirm that there are no vagabonds living there, as they would call it. I will note, as you, and I'll gesture to Thomas, as you may know, I have a fear of the dark, but I also have a fear of water, and it is partially because of the Belfonts that I have this fear.
So visiting this place is probably going to be very difficult.
For me. Because more than likely, you'll have to go by river in the middle of the night. If you wanted to check it out yourself.
We don't have to go tonight. We can go tomorrow when it's light. We're more likely to spot clues. I'd feel more comfortable checking the place out in the light when we can see where we're walking.
That makes sense. I guess tomorrow's a new day.
Yes.
Is there anything else you intend to do tonight, or are you leaving further investigation until tomorrow morning?
I think tomorrow morning. It's what, past midnight now?
Past midnight by now, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'd be drinking the evening a little, just to pass through what I just read.
Okay.
So it might take me a while tomorrow to get out of bed. But I think I'd sleep at home.
And what is the plan for the morning? Are you intending to go to Belfont Estate at River? Are you intending to go to Elbrook? Or are you intending to do both? You can always split the party. Or are you intending to pursue other lines of investigation?
I think Thomas would head towards the society the following morning anyway.
Not certainly.
Okay, so everybody's meeting at the society in the morning who wasn't already there. Marlene and Maddie would probably have gotten up and discussed the book if Marlene had any questions about it.
Yes. Well,
Jerva
before we get to the morning, though,
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I need everyone to make me a power roll, please.
Successes all around.
Good to know, successes all around. So now we get to the morning.
I'm sad now. Well,
Yeah, you're probably glad. So, yes, the morning comes. Marlena doesn't look like she's slept. You can see there's dark shadows under her eyes. And this is fascinating. That's fascinating.
Are you all right?
Yes.
I think the first time I read this book, I tried to kill somebody with it. It was the first book I read.
Yes, I understand.
Any questions about any of it?
9.
Did you want to go with me to Albrook? Or do you want to go to the estate?
Whichever helps. Otto went to Albrook.
Mm-hmm. And then he was dead. Are you able to protect yourself?
I think as much as you are. May. Do you have any blood?
You might have some animal blood.
Yes. May I?
Yes, the kitchen. We can ask. Mrs. Bramley, if she has any available.
Or dead animal?
Mm-hmm.
Good. So, are you asking Mrs. Bramley about?
I will go and ask Mrs. Bramley for some fresh animal blood if she has any.
Animal?
Chicken, pig.
I can get some if you wait a minute. is for breakfast? Is that what they eat over there?
No, I don't think it's for breakfast. I think it's for something else. I'm not sure. I wasn't told what it's for.
I can get some from, if you wait just a few ticks, I'll pop round to the butcher's that keeps them in for black pudding.
Thank you.
But yes, there's soup where you can use blood.
Yeah. I mean, black pudding for breakfast, that's essentially blood for breakfast, so...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good source of iron.
Exactly.
So, shortly after, Mrs. Bramley returns, still looking confused with a clay bowl of blood.
Thank you. I'll take it upstairs with me. And give it over to Marlene when we get there?
Okay. You see her dip her finger in it. She sort of starts to chant a few words and sort of paint the sigil in blood on the back of each hand, along her forehead. And then sort of rubs it off.
What was this?
Protection.
How do...
Blood ward.
Oh, I don't know that spell. Word. Can you teach it to me? Is it in my book? I don't think I saw it in the book. I don't think it was in the book.
I can try to teach you. She kind of swirls the blood around a bit more. Okay. And so she starts to sort of badly try and explain this. Well, she's trying to explain it, but in slightly broken English, the rituals and the thing. And this is probably still going on at the time. I think who'd be here first, Johann or Thomas?
Probably Thomas. Johann would probably sleep in a bit.
I was going to say, we're a similar distance from the place, but if Johann sleeps in, and Thomas will have a peaceful night's sleep thinking of, normal stuff. So he'll walk in to see him with a bowl of blood.
Yeah, you can hear voices in the library, and you see Maddie and Marlene sat with this, there's still a few smears of blood on Marlene, and she sat there with this bowl of blood in between, sort of explaining and showing Maddie how to paint these blood sigils.
And Maddie's practicing, or trying to do it herself.
Okay.
You done.
Morning!
Oh, morning, yes. He's not going to say anything, he's just going to be very confused looking at the blood and...
A protection. If you are okay with going to the estate, we'll be going to Albrook.
Fair enough. Keeper would have an idea where the house is. Having said that, Thomas Carter's lived in London his entire life, so he might have an idea.
I mean, off the top of your head, probably not, but if you've looked it up the night before, or if you ask...
There will be a map here anyway. I'm sure they've got a map with the house marked on it.
Yeah, there'll be a map with the house marked
crossbones above it.
A little,
fire symbol.
Certainly on mark where the Belfont estate is. I was just looking up. I'm not going to find anything in this book.
So what does that protect you from then?
Knives? Guns?
It'll protect from maybe needles?
Yes.
Will it protect from the drownings?
No. Maybe not.
Does sound useful, though.
No.
Well, if it'll protect against even needles, that'll be good.
So does that work?
It needs casting first. And the first cast is always the hardest. Are you prepared?
I think so.
And I'm going to need you to make me a power roll here for the first cast of a new spell.
And that's a fail.
Okay. So, your choices here are either to choose to accept that failure and push any consequences of reattempting this spell onto the next time you try it, or you push and re-roll. Bear in mind that if you don't get a hard success on attempting this first casting of the spell, there will be consequences.
Okay. I would have asked how I would know if it succeeded or not.
So it's more you don't feel you've used magic before, you've cast spells. You can feel like that pull on your mind, that wrenching of power from you. And
Okay.
This didn't work. You didn't feel any of that draining of your sort of mental energy.
It's not working.
And my question is, if you do want to roll this and push this again, is how many magic points do you want to put into it? Because essentially,
I can
how
put
this
3
works
magic points
is
into it. Yes,
more
I do
magic
want to
points
push.
you're putting more. Okay.
What was that?
Yeah. Essentially, the more magic points you put in, the stronger the ward.
Okay.
It does cost
yeah,
some
3.
sanity as well, though.
Oh.
It's going to cost sanity. And it is going to carry risk if you want to attempt this.
I want to attempt it.
Okay.
I'll put in 3 sanity. 3 magic points.
Okay. Roll me 1d4 for the sanity. And please roll me another power roll. Bear in mind.
That's a 4 for the sanity roll.
Oh dear.
And that's a success for the power roll.
Which you mean hard.
You were looking for a hard success to successfully cast the spell.
No.
So I'm going to ask you to roll me 1d8, please.
That is also a 4.
Okay. So, this is actually quite fitting, the 4. So you lose the 4 points of sanity.
That brings me down to 3 total.
Yes, I need you to roll me 1d6. So you put 3 magic points into this. Okay.
Yes.
You lose 9 magic points.
That's all of my magic points.
Okay. You've lost all your magic points from now. They come back at 1 per hour. So, and I need you to make me a d10 roll for the sanity for the bout of madness.
That's an 8.
Okay. You watch as Maddie just hunches over and just begins to sob hysterically. But it's not just tears. You watch as the tears that roll down her cheeks are just tears of blood as matching the pool. And not just sort of from her eyes, you watch as like the walls of the room sort of warp and stretch for a moment, and you watch from between the cracks of the wallpaper and the cracks of things, these just droplets of blood springing, like it's almost like condensation on the walls, trickling down the walls of the room. As
I am seeing this, or they are seeing it?
You are all seeing, well, everyone's
just
seeing,
third
this
class.
is, yes, Thomas, I need a sanity roll from you. This is an attempt at a spell gone
Success.
somewhat wrong. The bowl
Yeah.
of blood in the centre of the room trembles. And you see sort of Marlena sort of clutch the edge of the table as slowly it dies down. Thomas, you'll lose 1 point of sanity still.
Did the ritual thing or the casting look complicated?
It looked reasonably well, it looked moderately complicated. It's a thing that it's clearly taken a bit of explaining to get around it.
It would be. He only caught the back of the conversation.
Yeah.
I think this is a hilarious time to show up.
Yes. As Agnes shows you through, and they are in the light. And what you see as you open, there's a bowl of blood in the centre of the table. There's Maddie sort of crying, and there's still tears of blood trickling down her cheeks.
Plus the blood marks on her forehead and her hands.
And
That's
these dark stains on the wallpaper, and you still lose 1 point of sanity.
I'm not sure what's happened.
The spell went wrong.
What spell?
Please explain. I meant no harm. I was attempting to help Maddie cast a ward with blood. However, first time casting a spell is hard, and
Okay. I guess she knows that, right?
Yes,
So it went a bit wrong.
a little.
Okay.
Maddie, you felt your senses are starting to come back. You're starting to get control of yourself again, and Marlena hands you over like a handkerchief. It's already quite bloodstained.
And I will, with a very shaky hand, take the handkerchief and wipe at my tears on my cheeks.
I am sorry. That didn't quite go as I anticipated.
Perhaps today's not the day.
But Maddie, despite all this and despite this mental strain that this event has taken, you do feel somewhat different. You can almost feel this force wrapped around you. And you think that through the strain it took on you, the spell has still taken effect. And you can add Blood Ward to your list of spells. It costs 1d4 sanity and a variable amount of magic points. And every magic point put in gets you 1d6 in protection. So please roll me those 3d6 here. Let's see.
Not the rest of the 9 that she spent on the...
No.
Sad.
That's the effect of a miss.
That is a 3, a 4, and a 4, so a total of 11. Okay. You said it cost 1d6?
It's 1d4 sanity every time you cast.
1d4.
Which I think you have 3 sanity now, so...
I have 3 sanity left.
Yes. So you have a ward that's currently worth 11 points. And what that means from the gameplay perspective is when you're taking physical damage, the first 11 points of that physical damage is not coming off you. Coming off your ward.
Okay.
doesn't cover everything. It doesn't cover sort of the effect of certain spells, depending on what those spells are doing. If they're still still just physically harming you, then I think your ward should still protect you. But if they're racking your mind with eldritch agony, then unfortunately there's only so much your ward can do. You are protected from the physical for the time being. Great cost of everything else.
So,
All right.
you're warded now. Well, you're not warded now.
I believe I am warded now. I can't take harm. At the least.
So, should we do this with everybody in case something happens, or is this some sort of specialty thing that needs your kind of magical prowess?
It just may take a little longer to teach you if you're not so accustomed to.
And who's to say,
things,
even if they do get it, they may have a reaction as well.
Yes.
So
Depends.
either now, as the room's dirty anyway, or somewhere where people don't see.
If we're prepared to take the time. Depends. It will take a few more hours.
That is up to you. If you want to learn how to do this, be prepared for anything to happen.
Then perhaps another time. I think we've got things that we need to get done.
Yeah.
All right. Are we? Well, Marlene and I are going to be going to Albrook. Are you joining us, or are you going to the estate? Or did you want to do the estate when we all get back from Albrook?
I don't think we're in a rush for the estate. I'd rather be with y'all in Albrook. Just
All right.
in case. I'm worried about the guard. Though you're warded now, so maybe I don't need to. I'd still rather be with y'all.
All right. Then in that case, we'll go straight to the train station and head there.
Okay, so you head to this train station, preparing to return back to Brighton. And yes, you climb aboard the train as it leaves London heading down south. And as our session has almost come full circle here, I think this might be as good a point as any to end for tonight. And we'll pick up with arrival back down in Brighton next week.